How have the Jewish people all of these years persevered and had such resilience in the face of so much adversity? Well, it begins in this week's parsha. When Jacob loses his beloved Joseph, the brothers throw their brother Joseph into a pit. They come back with a coat of many colors, and Jacob thinks his son is no longer alive. But he never gives up hope. He still has this little glimmer that maybe he's alive. The Torah says, "Vayima'en lihitnachem." He refuses to be comforted. Now, you could say just simply he refuses to be comforted because he never saw a body. He never saw a corpse. He never had the dignity of seeing his son's body lowered into the ground. So it enabled him to hold on. Maybe he's still alive. And he grieved and he mourned for over 20 years, 22 years. Joseph was away for him, but he was ultimately reunited with his son. And we see the same thing with Rachel. We know that the great matriarch Rachel, she was buried in Bethlehem, in the very spot when her descendants, the Jewish people, would be marched out into exile from Israel after the Babylonians would destroy the first temple. And the prophet Jeremiah says, Rachel mivakal banah. Rachel was there to cry over her children, and me'ana lehinachem. She refuses, same language as this week's parsha, she refuses, like Jacob, to give up and to be comforted. Because to be comforted is to accept that as a reality. Jacob never accepts Joseph's death as reality. Rachel never accepts the exile as a permanent reality. And we see this, of course, in the Chanukah story just the same. The Jewish people in the days of the Greeks were given an ultimatum. You either give up your Judaism or give up your lives. And the Jewish people fought back. And how did this little tiny ethnicity, this tiny minority, how were they successful against this Greek superior military force? They refused to give in. They refused to give up. And I felt this about the hostages. It's an incredible thing. Did we ever imagine that we would get back so many of the hostages? When they were taken, so many people lost hope. But the hostages, they never gave up hope. And the Jewish people, in general, we never gave up hope. We kept going to rallies. We kept pushing Congress. We kept keeping that issue alive. And we saw, thank God, so many of them. Not all, and we remember every single one of them. But we saw, thankfully, so many come back alive. How does tiny Israel, living in such a hostile neighborhood, not only maintain herself, but thrive? Because we are not based on just simple reason. You got to believe a little in miracles to be able to understand the continued existence of the Jewish people against all odds. David Ben-Gurion, Israel's first prime minister, famously he said, "A Jew who doesn't believe in miracles is not a realist." Our history, our reality is not only one of reason, it's of faith and it's of miracles.